Hey everyone, it's Aubrey, recovering perfectionist, queen of distraction / gardener, and we are back for our last garden tour of July. It's really hard to believe that July is almost over. I don't remember summer being this short when I was a kid. Like, where is it going? And the feeling that I'm having right now is just like grasping onto the last bit of summer, because today I woke up and it was raining. And while there are like 80-degree days on the forecast for the rest of the week and next week, I feel it slipping away. It's not. There's so much stuff in the garden that is actually like finally now just really getting established. But then there are several things in the garden that are coming to the end of their growth. Yeah, I guess it's just like one of those things, like with every ending, there's a new beginning or something along those lines. So we're going to start in this portion of the garden this week. There are a few additions made over here, courtesy of my mom. Down at yay end of the garden, she gave me some kind of melon. I don't know what kind of melon it was, but I'll figure it out so I can tell you guys. And I don't know exactly what to expect from that melon, but I should probably figure that out so I can decide if I'm excited about it or not. And then also in that area of the garden, I don't know if it was when the chickens were scratching in here the other week, but my loofah gourd, the 2 loofah gourd that I was very excited about, those 2 little baby plants are gone. And my heart is a little bit broken. I do have more seeds, but it's too late to start those. So, I mean, maybe next year will be the year that I actually finally get a real loofah. And then there's just a few different little snapdragons coming out, which I just love the snapdragons. And then there's so many more that are going to be blooming, over the course of the next month and then probably into September as well. But then over here, we're getting zucchini, and I still have like 10 cups of shredded zucchini in my freezer from the zucchini last year, so I need to do something about that. But the zucchini is going strong, as it has for me every year since I've started gardening. But that is that for over here. Let's move into the garden. But first we'll stop at the bean teepee and we'll see what's going on there. Alrighty, so over here at the bean teepee, there is 1 moonflower that is coming up. And then I did plant a few carving pumpkin seeds in the front. Those are doing well. And for the most part, the beans are doing okay. They're growing. There is some damage on some of the leaves from some pests. And then I think there's like 3 morning glory plants that are actually coming up in there. So I'm curious to see what this ends up looking like and how long is this going to take to like actually cover. I'm very impatient about the teepee. Okay, to the garden. Ta-da! Look, nasturtiums again. I feel like we've been here before. And this bed. I have the shelling peas coming up in the front. And while last time I tried to kind of force them to grow over the edge, I don't know if that had anything to do with why I really didn't get a ton of peas compared to previous years when I had let them climb a tomato cage. So this year what I'm going to do, or not this year, but this planting, I'm just going to leave these broccoli. I did harvest some of the leaves last week and I put it in a stir fry. It was delicious. But since there's some bug action happening on here, there's also the flowers. I'm going to leave the flowers. The bees can have those. The bugs can eat the leaves. But I want to let the peas climb. But then are the bugs going to get my peas? Those guys like peas. I don't know. I should probably figure that out before I commit to that idea. Sometimes good ideas aren't good. And then the beans that I planted on the back are making a lot of progress. Nothing's vining yet and climbing, but there will be beans. And then over here in the nasturtium kale broccoli bed, obviously a lot of this broccoli specifically has gone to flower. I have taken out a couple of these plants and given them to the chickens, but kind of at this point, again, like the other bed, I'm gonna leave these for the bees. I'm harvesting some kale periodically, but really, I kind of just like the way this looks. It makes me happy. I love the flowers. The greens are beautiful together, and I just love how full it is. So really at this point, even though like there are only so many things that I can do with kale in my house that my children will accept, so I will do something with it. Even if when this is all said and done, this just ends up going to the chickens, at least it's being used. It's not going to waste. Somebody's eating it. I just think it's pretty and it's staying. The nasturtiums are doing lovely. And the shelling peas that I did plant over here, there's some bug damage in there. And then the marigold seeds that I had planted a few weeks ago, none of those came up, which I'm pretty bummed about. But the seeds were from 2018. So that probably has something to do with why none of them germinated. They were just really old. I know some seeds will just last until the end of time, but I don't know. Maybe there's something with marigold seeds. Maybe they don't last that long. But yeah, so this is kale, broccoli, nasturtiums. Let's go to the lettuce. And again, over here in lettuce land, the same situation is happening over here as is happening over in the kale and broccoli department. I'm just gonna let a lot of this flower go to seed and maybe some volunteer lettuce will come back up here next year. A lot of this will end up going to the chickens. I have picked off bits here and there for sandwiches and stuff, the pieces that I find that aren't bitter, but for the most part, that period of time when we were gone, like things just bolted too much for me to keep up with, like eating wise. I want to taste this piece and see. Yeah, like that one's short and it's bitter. Sorry for eating with my mouth open, that was rude. But I also I think this bed is beautiful, and I'll harvest some and give it to the chickens periodically. But I think that as the blooms fizzle out in the other two beds, like these ones will grow, there will be blooms in here, things for the bees. And I mean, even though I had that horrifying experience with the bee sting reaction last month, I still like them. I still like the bees, okay? Our carrot bed over here is still going very strong. The boys have been harvesting from it, even though the supplemental 5-pound bag of carrots that I got at Costco for us to have while these were getting really established is still in the back of the refrigerator. This is the first place they go. Jackson says that carrots from the garden taste better, and I mean, he's not wrong. The beans seem to be doing really great. I'm seeing some blooms, which I'm really excited about. And then this long carrot stalk that is going to seed. I'm very excited to see what this is going to look like when this blooms. I know it's basically just going to be Queen Anne's lace, but this is going to be the first carrot that I've had that has actually stayed in the garden. I guess it didn't stay in the garden its full 2 years, but I'm just so excited to have a carrot that's going to seed. It's the little things, right? Can you see me? The cabbage bed is still so far doing wonderful. The cabbage over here is doing well. We've talked about this one that has a lot of pest damage, and I was talking to my mom about it, and I remembered last year there was one cabbage that I had, not that any of them really did stellar, but there was one with significant pest damage like this one has, and we cut it back. We just basically cut the entire head off, but you leave the base set of leaves. So how it works, or how it's supposed to work, and I guess it did happen, is for each base leaf that you have, one small head of cabbage will grow, like a baseball size, essentially. And it did happen. But I mean, yeah, like they weren't cabbage heads that were like anything to write home about. But the fact that we were able to discard what was like really pest ridden and get some small new life from it, that was really exciting. And then over here in the tomato bed, I am finally starting to see some starts of little blooms. I was very nervous there for a while. And then the beans over on this side, they were starting to climb up the tomato cages. So last week I did have to unravel a bunch of them, and like, it's okay, you know, like this is where you're supposed to go. And I don't know, like, was this a bad idea? I think it'll be fine. It's gonna be okay. Okay, over here, look, there's things. Over here, I did move that larkspur that I had talked about, but we're starting to see little signs of food life. Look at that big buddy. You need to go in some soup. But a couple days ago, my mom came over and we planted all of these pepper plants in here. This one here is actually one of the jalapenos that I had started from seed. They were doing very sad. They're obviously not as substantial and lovely as my mom's. Like, you can tell whose are whose. I guess I am just thankful that the ones that I planted are kind of doing something, because I'm pretty sure that the majority of my mom's pepper plants are something terrifying. And I really, like, I know jalapenos can be hot, but I just feel safer with a jalapeno. I want to candy a jalapeno. I don't want to candy a Carolina Reaper. No thanks. No, I'm gonna pass on that. I'm surprised that over here on these pumpkins that I'm not seeing any blooms yet, but the edamame is doing pretty good. This one here, Alec ended up breaking, but I shoved the broken piece down under some dirt. So I'm hoping that it's just kind of rerooting itself there. And then cherry plant. Also, this thing for my mom just already has a ton of life on it. And also, silly me, I completely forgot that I had planted either shelling peas or snap peas, some kind of peas. Completely forgot about it, but there they are. How exciting is that? And then my basil, since I've started pinching it back, it is actually starting to do okay. It's doing better, it seems like. Something, are you a pumpkin? Are you a squash? What are you? And also over here, remember how I was like, oh my gosh, my dill is doing so good. They're carrots. They're carrots. I did not plant dill there. I planted dill somewhere, but I don't remember where I planted dill, and the dill isn't coming up. Oh my gosh, there's a hummingbird on the nasturtium. Come back, please come back. My heart is so happy right now. How cool is this? Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, that was so cool. I kind of want to cry a little bit. Isn't nature wonderful? Ooh. So this variety of snapdragon here is a new one to me, and there's life on there. I'm very thrilled right now. I did have a giant cluster of those snapdragons back there behind the rosemary bush, but they were really starting to get crowded out by all of the squash pumpkin shenanigans that's happening right here. So I did dig some of those out a few days ago and just migrated some of them forward. They were very, very disappointed, but today is the first day that I'm like, you're gonna make it and it's gonna be fine. I don't know if that will delay flower production at all, the shock of me moving them, but whatever. I guess I'll just have flowers later in the year, which I'm okay with. And I am still just forever so extremely thankful to my mom for weeding this bed for me. It was really in very rough shape. There was a really big cluster of pot marigolds, so calendula, growing over here. And the same day that I moved the snapdragons, I did dig up several of those and just space them out a little bit more evenly throughout this bed. And my mom, she's like, I don't think that those are marigolds. They don't look like marigolds. And she showed me one of the marigolds in her yard. I was like, you're right. These are not marigolds. But then I remember trying to identify it and it called it a pot marigold, which I guess is a slang term for calendula. I don't know. So I'm excited to have a bunch of calendula because the stuff that I have growing in the bed under Jackson's window, I've been harvesting that and drying that out for, I don't know, I'll make a salve or something out of it. So that feels exciting to have more of that, which I don't know. I wonder if there is something that you can do with marigolds. I should have looked into that last year. You will. And then speaking of the bed over here, a few days ago, Alec and I basically just ripped everything out that looked like it was, coming to the end of whatever it was doing. It was just crowded and gross looking. We did take all of the petals off of the cornflowers, the bachelor buttons, because you can make tea out of them. So we have those dried and in a jar. I'll probably mix them into some teas during the fall and winter and whatnot. It's a blank slate. What am I going to do? Oh, wait, I forgot. I did do something. So speaking of drying things, I did have one of the zinnia flowers from the front yard. I dried that. I pulled the little seeds out and I planted a bunch in here randomly. I actually, now that I think about it, I also planted a bunch of sunflower seeds along the back of this bed. So most likely sunflowers, maybe zinnias. I also put a bunch of the zinnia seeds in a couple different places in that bed. Do I remember where I put them? In front of the snapdragons and then some down at the end. And I think that what I'll do is if they do end up coming up, I will just relocate them to other places in the yard or in the beds or in the garden, like places that need gaps filled. So fingers crossed. I would really love to have more zinnias. The one that I dried out was one of my favorite blooms that we've had so far this year. Not that there's been a ton, but I just love them. Also, the chamomile, I was able to harvest a ton and dry a bunch of that last week as well. But we're going to move on over here because last week we didn't get to see what was in the bed. So now let's go look what's in the squash pumpkin bed and one stalk of corn bed. But I say that corn is doing quite well. And then my mom, with her abundance of beans, she ended up putting some over here. I'm guessing that some will end up climbing the corn. Okay, we're just gonna go in there and see. Oh, I see something. And I don't know what's going on in here. I don't know exactly what that is going to be. I think it's, what are you? I think it's going to be one of those, so I need to wait for that one over there to turn more yellow like these guys. But you look like you're ready to come off the vine. There's something happening over here. And look at you. Hello there. That big buddy. And then in here, oh my gosh, they're pokey. This is where I had planted all of the little white pumpkin seeds, and I don't know if anything's happening with that yet. I really wanted little white pumpkins, and I don't know if it will end up happening, if they're too crowded or what. We'll see. Okay, oh look, that mullein has some flowers on it. But then over here in the big pumpkin department, big little pumpkin. This is 2 plants in here. I haven't found the one on this plant, but over here I know that there is. Where'd you go? The leaves have gotten really big. Where are you, little fella? Oh gosh. The vines. There it is. Still not huge. Oh, it looks like something did something to it. Huh. Oh, there's another little baby there. And then I don't see a baby on this one over here. Man, are we gonna have giant pumpkins or what's gonna happen? I'm very curious to see. Okay, let's go let's go look at the front flower bed real quick, and then we're gonna wrap things up. I guess that kind of seems to be the tradition of, you know, like the route we take. So I love my mom so much. She came over and did a bunch of weeding, pulled out a bunch of dead stuff. We do need to pull out some of the things that have really become very established, like some of the ferns, and just shift things around in here. We'll probably do that in the fall. And by we, I mean me and my mom, because I don't know, there's just something about like perennials that stress me out. Like I want to be able to just like pull something out of the ground and throw it in the compost or give it to the chickens. And having to cut things back makes me nervous. But I am just forever loving my hydrangeas. I've been able to cut a bunch and bring them in the house, and they just make me so happy. The boys and I have also been able to cut several zinnias and make a little bouquet in the house, which I'm loving. Right there, yeah. Yay, we did it! Let's save a couple for brother, okay? And then this soapwort, I mean, like, the blooms are really pretty, but I don't like that it, like, almost caves in on itself and is, like, encroaching on the sidewalk. The peony is in the middle, but I want this to not be here anymore. And then the big daisies I had to pull out. They were done, but I've still got all these little violas, violets, or whatever in here. I was gonna say something about the violas and pansies. Oh, Jackson said that he thinks that those look like the dad from Luca, which he's not wrong. I think that's very, very fun, cute observation that he had. But okay, that's that. That's the end of the rainy garden tour. I appreciate everybody tagging along with me for another garden tour. I can't believe that we're like, I know we're not approaching the end of summer. I know that it really just started, but also it's kind of coming to an end. So I can't believe the progress that has been made this year. So that is all. Thank you for tagging along with me. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next one. As always, I love you, have fun, and be kind.